Hello, everyone, and welcome to the City of Oshawa's Telephone Open House. We are live tonight with Mayor Dan Carter and senior city staff. In addition, we already have many community members on the line who are listening in across the city. To ask a question live tonight, simply press 3 on your phone's keypad. Once again, press 3 to ask a question at any time. While it may take a moment, rest assured that someone will take your name and place you in the question queue shortly. My name is Eric, and I'll be moderating the open house this evening. The city has made it a priority to engage and connect with you. This open house is a way for you to learn more about the city's programs, services, and initiatives, so we encourage you to ask questions and participate in our polling questions. For this evening's open house, we are taking questions related to the City of Oshawa's programs and services. These include waste, green bin, and yard waste collection, city roads, including maintenance and snow clearing, the city budget, events and economic development, fire services, municipal law enforcement, parks and recreation, sidewalk maintenance, and more. Programs and services not covered in the city budget include regional services such as regional roads, police and ambulance services, social services, community housing, transit, as well as provincial and federal services and programs. It is our intention to get many live questions and touch on as many topics as possible. The city also received a few questions on Connect Oshawa that we will be addressing as well. At any time, you can press 3 on your phone's keypad. It may take a moment, but rest assured that someone will take your name and place you in the question queue shortly. For everyone just joining us, hello and welcome to the City of Oshawa's Telephone Open House. We are live tonight with Mayor Dan Carter and senior city staff. In addition, we are joined by Oshawa community members who are listening in throughout the city. We want to remind everyone again, you can ask a live question at any time by pressing 3 on your phone's keypad. We also have a few polling questions that we will get to this evening. You'll have a chance to submit your responses live using your phone's keypad on those questions as they come up. At this time, I'm going to introduce Mayor Dan Carter to welcome everyone tonight. Mayor Carter, please go ahead.
Eric, thank you very much, and it's great to be able to work with you once again. Good evening, everyone. It's Dan Carter. I am the mayor for the great city of Oshawa, and thank you for joining us this evening at our Shape Oshawa Telephone Open House. The city of Oshawa is situated on lands within the traditional territories and treaty territories of the Mississauga, the Chippewa, the Anishinaabe, the signatories of the Williams Treaty, which includes the Mississaugas of Scugog Island, Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Alderville First Nations, and the Chippewas of Georgina Island, Rama, and Beausoleil First Nations. We are grateful for the Anishinaabe who have cared for the land and waters within the territory since time immemorial. We recognize that Oshawa is steep in rich Indigenous history and is now the present-day home of many First Nation, Inuit, and Métis people. We express our gratitude for the diverse group of Indigenous people who continue to care for the land and shape and strengthen our community. As a municipality, we are committed to the understanding the truth of our shared history, acknowledging our role in addressing the negative impacts of colonization continues to have an Indigenous people, developing reciprocal relationships and taking meaningful action towards our community. We are all treaty people. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for joining us this evening. This is a different format that we are running this year. Of course, we take questions on our budget, but tonight I am joined by our commissioners and many staff members to assist us throughout this process. First, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome our Chief Administrative Officer, that is Tracy Adams, our Commissioner of Community and Operations Services, Mr. Kevin Alexander, our Commissioner of Corporate and Financial Services, and our Treasurer, Stephanie Sinnott, and our Commissioner of Economic and Development Services, Mr. Anthony Amber, and many of our directors here. Tonight, we look forward to answering your questions about our programs, services, and initiatives, but before we get to that, I'm going to turn the floor over to our CAO, Tracy Adams, for a brief update. Good evening, Tracy.
Thank you, Mayor Carter, and hello, Oshawa. It's my pleasure to be here this evening to answer your questions and to share the things happening in our great city. Before I get started, I wanted to remind you that you can press 3 on your phone's keypad at any time to join our question queue. While it may take a moment, rest assured that someone will take your name and place you in line to ask your question shortly. As we mark 100+ years as a city, it's been a wonderful opportunity to reflect on the progress, and achievements that Oshawa has made. It is also an important time to consider the impact and significance of the stewardship of the land's original inhabitants who have been custodians of this territory for countless generations. When Oshawa became a city in 1924 with a population of just over 15,000, it was already a thriving center for industry and post-secondary education. As one of the fastest growing communities in Canada, Oshawa was full of promise and was being guided into the future by innovative leaders. 100 years later, we're still telling that great story. Innovation, collaboration, resilience, and visionary leadership have brought us full circle. Today, Oshawa is a vibrant and diverse city and ready for incredible and exciting change as the economic and social fabric of our community continues to diversify and grow. Our population is growing at a rate of 2.6% annually, making us one of the fastest growing communities in Canada. And we are now home to 187,000 residents and welcome 30,000 post-secondary students each fall at our 4 post-secondary institutions. Oshawa's evolving community presents some opportunities as well as some challenges. To guide us, Council has approved a new Oshawa strategic plan that sets a clear path forward with 4 priority areas with goals and action items. We are committed to delivering on these actions with our new vision in mind, a thriving, innovative, and caring community where everyone belongs. The Oshawa strategic plan recognizes the importance of embracing innovation, financial stewardship, and fostering strong partnerships. We recognize that community partnerships have shaped Oshawa's past and are vital to our future. Looking ahead, we also know that we must invest in the city's infrastructure and assets to ensure we can achieve our mission of delivering exceptional services, spaces, and experiences. Every year, we prepare capital budgets that outline proposed projects for the upcoming budget year and forecast projects over the next 9 years. The city's capital projects are prioritized based on several important factors, including council-approved plans, studies, and priorities, a risk assessment, the timing of regional work and known future developments, available funding, and affordability. Key to our decision-making is the city's asset management plan. This long-term plan monitors capacity needs as we grow and takes into account the age and conditions of our roads, bridges, buildings, vehicles, parks and trails, and other assets. It helps us plan the infrastructure needed to deliver services, considering growth and our needs while managing risks and opportunities to use resources wisely. You may not realize that Oshawa owns, operates, and maintains over $3 billion worth of infrastructure. This includes over 100 bridges, culverts, and pedestrian structures, along with more than 600 kilometers of storm sewer lines and 31 stormwater management facilities. Like many Ontario municipalities, the city is facing aging infrastructure challenges. As an example, we have 1,200 kilometers of roads with an average age of 35 years. These roads have a service life of 80 years and an estimated replacement cost of $1.4 billion. As our population continues to grow, we're also welcoming exciting developments. Over the past 5 years, the city has achieved record-breaking growth with $1 billion invested in industrial, commercial, and institutional development. Major companies like Lactalis Canada, the largest dairy products group in the world, and worldwide leader Martin Brower are bringing their global operations to the Northwood Business Park. In 2025, OPG's new headquarters in Oshawa will open, bringing more than 2,000 highly skilled workers to our city. These investments and other key developments taking place across the city represent over 7,000 new direct jobs in Oshawa. We are also advancing a new economic development strategy focused on attracting and growing these 5 key industries: advanced manufacturing, energy generation, health and biosciences, information technology, and multimodal transportation. We also recognize the importance of supporting our traditional economic sectors and local businesses. This year, we have undertaken a new program to support business growth and retention throughout the city. This new program is one example of how we are supporting local businesses. Infrastructure growth is another key area of focus. In the coming years, major projects, some of them led by other levels of government, will significantly impact our community's growth. There is incredible infrastructure investments taking place from the Ministry of Transportation, Metrolinx, and the region to support the widening of Highway 401 and the extension of the GO Transit line, including development of 2 new GO stations located at Central Oshawa, situated east of Simcoe Street South, north of First Avenue, and Thornton's Corners, situated west of Stevenson Road South, north of Laval Drive. We are one of the very few cities that have GO Train and Rail, a deep sea port, and an executive airport. The Oshawa Executive Airport supports our local and regional economy. The city is committed to operating the airport until 2047, and our long-term vision aims to balance our residents' quality of life with the airport's benefits. As we look at our growth today and into the future, the lack of affordable housing is a major concern for us, just like it is for all municipalities in Ontario. We have applied to the federal government's Housing Accelerator Fund to implement initiatives aimed at increasing housing supply, including the supply of affordable housing in our city. In addition, we encourage diverse housing options by implementing Durham Region's housing plan, focusing on affordability and providing incentives for brownfield remediation, multi-unit housing, and affordable housing units. In a study released this past summer, Oshawa's average tax bill ranked lower than every Durham Region municipality other than Brock. As a 2-tier municipality, we collect property taxes for not only the city, but also on behalf of the region of Durham and for the province of Ontario. For every dollar collected in 2024, the city only keeps 40 cents, while approximately 45 cents are given to the region of Durham for regional services such as police, ambulance, and social services, and 15 cents are sent to the province for local school boards. This means that if you are a homeowner who pays $6,000 annually in property taxes, the city only keeps $2,400. We understand the economic pressures that our community faces because we face them too. We are all experiencing the impact of inflation rates, increasing hydro rates, and increasing costs for commodities such as fuel and salt for maintaining roads, sidewalks, and trails in the winter. We're also facing the need to continue to build reserves and to maintain or replace our infrastructure, all with keeping an affordability lens. Additionally, we provide annual operating grants to local organizations such as the Oshawa Senior Community Center, the Oshawa Public Libraries, Parkwood Estate, Oshawa Historical Society, and the Robert McLaughlin Art Gallery, whose needs are also increasing. Municipalities, unlike the provincial and federal governments, must balance their budgets. This means we need to constantly find efficiencies and improve our operations to meet our community's expectations. To achieve this, we're focusing on modernizing our services. One example is that we're introducing a new online land management software system to simplify how residents and businesses handle permits and applications. Additionally, we're advancing a public arts master plan which aims to create vibrant public spaces. A great example is the recently installed mural, Turning the Wheel, by local artist Danny Crosby at the McMillan Parkade, located at 110 King Street West in downtown Oshawa. We also have major city parks projects in the works, such as the development of Rotary Park and Pool and Rose Valley Park, which are scheduled to be completed in 2025. By investing in both infrastructure and cultural initiatives, we are not only addressing immediate needs, but also laying the groundwork for a thriving and vibrant Oshawa. Thank you for your time, and we welcome your questions and feedback. Eric, let's take the first question.
Thank you very much. We will get to the Q&A portion of the event. Up first, I just actually quickly want to remind everyone that we are taking your questions. You can press 3 on your phone's keypad at any time during the open house this evening, and someone will take your name and place you in the question queue. Our first question was actually shared on Connect Oshawa, and this is a question from user SM Takvir, who asks, "Dear City of Oshawa team, I moved to Oshawa in 2021 and love it so far, but I feel bad for those in Memorial Park and Midtown Mall struggling with drug problems. Do you have any plans to work with provincial government and federal government to address this problem?"
So Eric, once again, thank you very much for the opportunity to be able to answer this question. And I have to say that this is the most complex health crisis this country has ever faced. Just for information, those that are listening, 46,000 individuals have died from opiate-related illnesses across this nation since 2016. We continue to be able to talk to our counterparts across the country in regards to the steps that we've taken and find out what best practices they've implemented in their communities so that we're able to see if those programs should be implemented. But I have to say that Oshawa, right from day one, has implemented programs outside of the scope of our core responsibilities. You see, social service, health, policing, and housing falls to the responsibility of the region. And it is our job as a local municipalities, and especially as the mayor for the great city of Oshawa, to take our experiences on a daily basis and advocate both to the region, to the provincial government, and federal government. But I'm pleased that the city of Oshawa, right from day one, when this crisis started to come, is that we implemented, advocated, and we were able to invest into unique programs. Our first program that we created in the cooperation of EMS and also our regional partners is called the PCOP program, which is a primary care outreach program with a social worker and a paramedic that is mobile in our community to help those individuals that are suffering with addiction or mental health. We also advocated and made sure that we had outreach workers, and I'm pleased to be able to say that the work that we did with the agencies also led us to being able to work with the region to be able to get outreach workers that work directly for the region of Durham that started in 2024. We advocated in regards to a new program called MHOP, which is a mental health outreach team that is on the streets to be able to help individuals that are suffering with mental illness. We teamed up with the John Howard Society to create a program called On Point. Their job was to be able to identify areas where individuals were utilizing syringes for intravenous drug use to be able to not only count and collect, but also report in the area so that we could direct specialized services into those areas. We also invested in what I'm proud to be able to say is called the Rapid Response Unit through Oshawa Fire. Oshawa Fire and its 4 specialized members of that team that make up 20 individuals respond to a number of medical emergencies related to this addiction and mental health crisis. I continue to work with the Prime Minister, the Premier, the Minister of Health, the Minister of Health for the federal government, work with my colleagues at AMO to be able to bring best practices forward. And matter of fact, at our discussions in Ottawa just 3 weeks ago, this was the #1 key issue that all communities are facing. As I said, this is the worst healthcare crisis and humanitarian crisis that we have ever seen. We understand that treatment must be made available when the individual is willing to be able to accept our help. We will continue to be able to demonstrate compassion and kindness. We will continue to ask for law and order. We will continue to be able to advocate for housing. And I've got to say that Oshawa was the first community to step forward to be able to have the microhome project that saw 9 individuals that were unhoused housed with supported services on site. I am reminded on a daily basis that the efforts that we put forward in regards to addressing this major health crisis, we are reminded on a daily basis that there's somebody's child. And it is our responsibility, even as a lower tier municipality, to continue to fight, advocate, educate, and hopefully direct them into the pathway of care. Eric, willing to take the next question.
Well, we have our first live question ready to go. Again, a quick reminder, everyone, press 3 on your phone's keypad if you'd like to ask a live question. Coming up first is Colleen, who has a question regarding public pool facilities. Colleen, welcome.
Hi. With the aging population and so many sports played in Oshawa, I was wondering if there's any plans to build a warm water pool. Right now there was one, and that's at Grandview Children's Center, and it's closing and moving to Ajax. We could have therapies for hip, knee replacements, sports injuries, as well as osteoarthritis, Parkinson's, etc. Are we going to build a warm water pool in Oshawa?
So Colleen, first and foremost, good evening, and thank you very much for your question. We continue to be able to invest in our recreational facilities. Warm water pools, I'm not really sure about, but I'm going to go to our Commissioner Alexander that he'll direct the question to one of his directors. So Commissioner, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm actually going to pass this question to Acting Director Brendan Brown.
Good evening, and thank you for your question. Currently, the city is looking at development of a new recreation center, and within that, certain amenities. There is a pool that is being designed. We are considering what type of temperature we would have in that. It wouldn't necessarily exactly fall into the warm water category, but it's warmer. Certain aspects of the pool are warmer than our pools that currently exist within the city.
Thank you very much, Director. I greatly appreciate it. Eric, let's move on to the next question.
Up next, we have another live question. This is Ed, who's joining us live now with a question about healthcare facilities. Ed, welcome.
Thank you. Hello. I noticed that most of the emergency care, like hospital and other emergency stuff, is basically south of Taunton Road. And if there's any possibility that something would be in the northern sections, because I noticed that there isn't any such care facilities north of Taunton Road.
So Ed, first of all, thank you very much for your call. I greatly appreciate it. Of course, healthcare falls under the Ministry of Health, but what I can say is, of course, we have a world-class facility in Oshawa that is, of course, just north of Adelaide on Simcoe, along with our world-class cancer center. But that being said we do have facilities in the north part that are urgent care that I understand the Oshawa Clinic also operates near our airport. My understanding also is that the provincial Ministry of Health has proposed a new hospital in the north part of Durham region that will help be able to service the growing population in that geographic area. They're also aware that long-term care facilities are an area where the region is investing, and also specialized care continues to be a focus. But there is major investments that are happening in healthcare across the region of Durham, and Oshawa will play an important role in regards to healthcare as we move forward. I hope that answers your question, Ed. And Eric, I'm on to the next.
Ed, thank you again for that question. Just before we get to our next question, we're going to do a quick survey. So for everyone joining us on the phone, you can use your touchtone phone to indicate your response to the following question. We want to know, what portion of your total property tax bill does the city have direct control over? If your answer is 100%, press 1. If your answer is 63%, press 2. If your answer is 40%, press 3. So again, what portion of your total property tax bill does the city have direct control over? If your answer is 100%, press 1. If your answer is 63%, press 2. If your answer is 40%, press 3. Now, Mayor Carter, could you actually please let me know what Oshawa taxpayers get for their property tax dollars?
Eric, I'm glad that you asked that question. I know that I'm going to bring our treasurer and commissioner into this conversation. But it is interesting when you start looking at the variety of services that the city provides. And I'll just speak about a few. Our recreational centers, of course, and all of its programs that happen there. OSCC 55+, serving our seniors. As a matter of fact, we've been acknowledged as one of the signature communities when it comes to seniors facilities. The Robert McLaughlin Gallery is one of our facilities. Our waterfront, our over 130 parks, our fire services are part of that. Of course, waste pickup, our library services, active transportation, roads and bridges. And here's an interesting fact, and I find this really fascinating. You know, the city owns and maintains over 1,250 lane kilometers of road. That's like going to North Bay twice, or as far as it goes, all the way you could drive from Oshawa to Nashville. So it's really interesting to be able to see the amount of services that are being provided in the city in regards to the tax dollars that are received. And it'll be really interesting to find out exactly how our audience looks at that last question in regards to what percentage does the city collect in regards to the overall tax levy that's there. Commissioner?
Thank you for the question. Of the total tax bill that is issued, only 40% is retained by the city. 45% is attributed to the region of Durham, and the remaining 15% goes to the province in support of school boards.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Just want to also say that as a municipality, we must have balanced budgets are required. We are able to debenture when we make major capital expenditures, but we must make sure that we have a balanced budget, and our Commissioner of Finance makes sure that I abide by that rule each and every year. So, Eric, I hope that I've answered the question, and I am willing and ready for the next question.
Thank you, Mayor Carter. We have another live question coming up. Again, quick reminder, press 3 on your phone's keypad if you would like to ask a live question on the open house this evening. Up next is Zahira, who's joining us, who has a question about aggressive drivers. Zahira, please go ahead.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for taking my call. I'm a new resident to Oshawa. I just moved here just over a year ago. I've noticed a high number of vehicle accidents in community safety zones and in surrounding areas of the residential neighborhoods. It's a little disheartening. My son is not sitting on a laptop playing. He's on his bike or on his scooter. We're frankly not that comfortable being out and about because of the aggressive drivers. And I have contacted Durham Regional Police. I've contacted traffic engineers. They've claimed that their response times are slow because they don't have enough staff. So it's a twofold question. Concerns about aggressive driving. There have been some fatalities in Oshawa, and also resources from the police services. It's been difficult. My son was hit by a car while on his scooter, and it took 3 days for someone to come to my door and take a report. Yet an unhoused person was outside of the LCBO at at the Walmart at Harmony Road, and the manager was able to get a police officer there within 30 minutes. So as a new resident, I do have these concerns, and it's been a tough transition based on all of these factors.
First of all, thank you very much for joining us this evening, and it's a great question because it's one of the questions that we continue to be faced. One is that Durham Regional Police, again, as a lower tier, we continue to educate, inform, and lobby up to the police department in regards to the traffic concerns that our community has. So we've made some fundamental changes in regards to our local municipalities or local neighborhoods. One is many of the local neighborhood roads are 40 kilometers. We believe that that's a great step in the right direction. We have put electronic speed boards up, and believe it or not, that those speed boards not only calculate and receive information, but it also makes drivers aware of their speed, and we have seen an adjustment in their behavior. We also are part of the ASE, which is the automatic speed enforcement tools that you'll see across the city and community safety zones. We are always looking at how we can improve road safety and make sure that we work with Durham Regional Police to be able to address it. But I will continue to be able to say it's up to each and every one of us to abide by the laws and the rules of the road. But we will continue to be able to work with Durham Regional Police in regards to finding ways of enforcement. Again, one of the best things that can always happen, and as I always say this, is the best way to stop speeding is to have a police officer in a speed trap. Unfortunately, with the amount of different resources and different allocation of resources, sometimes that's difficult, but we will continue to look at best practices about how we can adjust drivers' attitudes to be able to make sure that they understand that they share the road with everyone. Sorry about that. Director Lyon, did you want to add anything to that, sir?
Thank you for the question. The only thing other that I would add is municipal law enforcement and licensing services administers standards that address public health and safety. And we do have an annual program where we have officers attend school zones for the morning drop-off and the pickup bell times. So we are actively providing enforcement in the school zones areas. And the only other thing was that council has approved an automated speed enforcement ASC program that the mayor has talked about, and our intention is to have that up and running within the next 18 months. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director. I greatly appreciate it. I hope we answered your question, but road safety and community safety is a #1 priority for our community. But we wish you the best of the evening, and thank you for your call and question. Eric?
Up next, again, thank you, Zahira, for your question. Up next, we have Joelle, who's joining us with a question involving public space investments.
Oh, hello. First of all, I want to thank you for, great local government. I wish, wish we had this kind of interaction with our other levels of government. Anyway, I just wanted to say, first of all, downtown Old Oshawa has beautiful infrastructure, public spaces, flowers, trees, benches. It makes you feel like you belong, like you're part of a community. Unfortunately, north of Taunton, there's no real investment in good public spaces, like I think Harmony and Taunton, huge parking lots. There's no benches to sit down. There's nothing to make you feel like you belong to a community. And, someone getting off a bus, walking across the parking lot, they have no place to sit down. And especially young people need to feel something beside, chain stores and cars and parking lots so that they know they belong to a community. And that's where people should be able to hang out, have gatherings, see the world. And so I just hope that we will try to transform some of those horrible empty spaces, into good public places. Thank you.
It's a great question. As our city covers over about 145 square kilometers, and as we know, there is not only revitalization in the central part and the south part of our city, but we're also welcoming so many new residents in our northern part. I know that I can speak from the mayor's office that we have had serious conversations with RioCan and Smart Centers in regards to how can we start greening and making these of community gathering places, not just shopping locations. And we've encouraged them to start looking at how do we green these spaces? How do we help people feel that this is part of their community? And we've also had conversations that many communities have embraced, which is taking our water retention ponds and beautifying them so that it feels like part of their community. It's a place to gather. But I think it's a great point that we have to continue to be well aware that as our city grows and as it spreads out geographically, we've got to find a way of being able to get people to connect that this is their community. I'm going to go to our Commissioner, Commissioner Amber, and say good evening, and I know that one of our directors would like to add some comments into it. Commissioner?
Good evening, Mayor Carter, and thank you, Joelle, for the question. As Mayor Carter mentioned, we do work in partnerships with local developers through the site plan process to implement a lot of landscape features. And maybe to give a little more detail on that, I will pass the call off to Director Tom Goody, who is our Director of Planning Services.
Thank you, Commissioner Ambra. The Planning Act, of course, which applies province-wide, allows the city to collect parkland dedication when development occurs. So when we do get applications for new developments, such as large plans of subdivision, which are occurring in North Oshawa, even as we speak, the city has the opportunity to actually collect free of charge parkland for the benefit of the community. Also, through the site plan process, we work with our local developers to provide opportunities for what are known as privately owned public spaces. So these could be in the form of typically, gathering places in prominent locations that are highly visible, where there could be opportunities for seating, resting in the shade, a piece of public art, because it's these small, informal areas that really do lend themselves to a sense of community, to an attractive streetscape and environment. And more we're finding that as the population grows and places intensify and become more dense, the need for these spaces is critical. And that is recognized not just by the city, but by the development community. And we do have a very close working relationship, as Commissioner Ambra indicated, with those developers. And it certainly assists everyone to make sure that these places provide a comfortable and safe and attractive environment. Thank you very much.
Director, great job in regards to that, and thank you very much for taking the opportunity to be able to kind of highlight. And you'll be able to see some of the efforts that we are taking at the Ed Broadbent Waterfront Park. You'll see some of the things that will be happening at our Rotary Park that is under redevelopment at this particular time, and also our urban square that will be under development in the downtown core. But bringing our communities together, because of the diversity of our community and the geographic spread that our community is facing, this is going to play a really important part. So great question, and thank you for your feedback this evening. Eric, if we can move on to the next question, please.
Of course. And up next, we have another question. Quick reminder to everyone joining us, press 3 on your phone's keypad to ask a question. Our intention is to get as many live questions from you and touch on as many topics as possible. Up next, we have another community question. Actually, multiple Connect Oshawa users asked questions surrounding crime and community safety. They wanted to know what the city is doing to address these incidents.
So, Eric, thank you very much once again for the question. And it's the perception of crime and, of course, community safety. One thing that the audience should know is there is a new Community Safety and Policing Act that Durham Regional Police has been a part of and, of course, has to implement it across our region and every police department across the country. But we have been able to advocate in regards to the concerns of our community by a couple of different things. One is we understand that we have to collect data, and we do that quite well and share that data in regards to our police department and our security services to be able to make sure that we make sure that the right services are in the right place. We also use what is called CEPTED, and this is crime prevention through environmental scanning. And what it does is gives us best practices in regards to how we can address some of the concerns that people have when it comes to community safety. For our business community, we've been able to implement what's called CIP. They're community improvement programs to be able to support businesses and residents in our community. We've increased our bylaw and security officers in surrounding areas across the region, and especially in our downtown core, what we've done is we've been able to advocate and work hand in hand with our bylaw and security teams and Durham Regional Police, not only to have bike patrols, but also foot patrols, ATV patrols along our trails in our downtown area. You also know that we've also invested in expanding our light enhancements in the downtown core and continue to be able to look at best practices as we move across. We also have engaged the public, and we're asking everybody, when it comes to community safety, all of us play a role. We created a program called If You See It, Report It. If it is a criminal activity, we are encouraging those to, of course, call Durham Regional Police. If it's an emergency, always use 911. Non-emergencies, there is a phone number, and I can share that with you, which is 905-579-1520. Again, non-emergencies at 905-579-1520. In regards to litter or garbage, graffiti, all those kind of things, we want the community to be able to report back to us. So we ask people to reach out to our Service Oshawa at Service Oshawa at 905-436-3311. So we will continue to be able to continue to work with our partners, especially with Durham Regional Police, to address these issues. We remind everyone, community safety is all of our responsibility. Working in partnership, working hand in hand, makes all of our communities safe. I hope I answered the question. And Eric, we can move on to the next question, please.
Of course, and our next live question is now coming up from Christy, who has a question about street signs. Christy, welcome.
Hello. I hope this doesn't seem trivial, only because I already had all those other great questions answered from other residents. So I'm noticing there's been an explosion of growth this summer in every way where there's foliage. There are numerous important signs throughout the city that are now being blocked by bushes more so than trees, and trees that have grown over the signs. I don't know. I was born and raised here, so I know how to get around. But other people who don't always know, their way around, and they need the street signs, seeing a lot of U-turns lately, way too many U-turns. And so I don't know how it can happen where is it Public Works or Road Works or whatever goes around to start not just trimming back, like cutting back some of these bushes and shrubs so that people can see their street signs, the street sign. Bloor Street is one of them. Go north on Stevenson Road, you can't see the Bloor Street cutoff. Can't see the sign.
This is why I love our town hall meetings, because it gives us an opportunity to not only gather information about some of those issues that we may or may not be aware of, but it gives us an opportunity to be able to address it. I'm going to pass it over to our Commissioner Alexander. Good evening, and I know that you've got Director Harrington that might be able to help us through this process. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mayor Carter, and thank you for the question and the observations. I'm going to pass the question to Mike Harrington, our Acting Director of Operations Services.
Good evening. Thank you very much for the question. Internally, we have a forestry team that takes care and does inspections and keeps an eye on kind of this foliage, and we're aware of the extra growth season, the extra growth that's been experienced this season. So our teams are out there, they're trimming them back. But if there's anything that the community sees, I encourage you to reach out to Service Oshawa to assist us in that endeavor. Furthermore, I noticed you had mentioned Bloor Street. That is a regional road, so we'd also have to reach out to the region with their assistance on that matter too. Thank you very much.
Director and Commissioner, thank you very much. And again, that number for Service Oshawa is 905-436-3311. But if you do see something like this and you feel that we could be made aware of it so that we can make our community safer, please give us a call and let us know. Great question. And to the Director and Commissioner, thank you for your response. Eric, ready for the next question.
Of course, Mayor Carter, we have another question coming up now. Again, a quick reminder, press 3 on your phone's keypad if you have a question you'd like to ask on the open house this evening. Tony is joining us now with a question related to limited recreational activities. Tony, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Carter. The one question I have is, with the limited spaces available in our growing city with recreational services, community services, swimming, ice, and indoor gyms, if the city's looking to implement residents first registry, so if registration could be open to Oshawa residents for the first 2 or 3 weeks of a program, what I'm finding with young children is the programs, if you're not at your computer at 7 o'clock in the morning, the day registration opens, you're not getting into any of the registered programs that are available, especially with the limited spaces in swimming pools.
So, Tony, thank you very much for your question, and I greatly appreciate it. I know that other communities do the same. Our neighboring communities also face the challenges of being able to provide the amount of services, especially for our young people. And we want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to be able to participate and utilize our programs of recreational services. So I'm going to pass it over to Commissioner Alexander. Commissioner Alexander, if you direct the question to the appropriate director, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Carter. I'd like to pass the question to Brendan Brown, Acting Director of Recreation Services.
Good evening, Tony. Thank you for your question. You are correct. Our city is growing and our programs are under extreme demand right now. And just to let you know, we look at our data each registration session, and we're currently serving our registration participants are currently at around 85% Oshawa residents. And we allow what we call wait lists for all our programs, and our staff try and accommodate as many additional participants based on resources we have, time available, amenities, and of course staff to offer the program. So we do try our best to allow more people to register. Each session we also look at ways that we can improve our registration process. We work with different departments within the city for that, and we always continue to try and improve on that. So I hope that helps with your question. Sorry.
Director and Commissioner, thank you very much for your response. And Tony, just to let you know, also at the same time, the city is committed in regards to infrastructure investments in regards to recreational programs, both on the field base and also facilities. And we continue to look at how we'll be able to serve our community. As you know, our population continues to grow. The diversity of our population is also an exciting part of our community that sees new opportunities in regards to recreational programs, and we're looking forward to that exciting time. So thank you for your question, and Commissioner and Director, thank you for your response. Eric, off to you.
Up next, we have another community question. Actually, multiple Connect Oshawa users asked questions surrounding waste collection. Specifically, they wanted to know, why do we not have a weekly collection or use large garbage and recycling bins?
Well, thank you very much for the question. And I'm not an expert in waste, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to our Director of Operations. And again, Commissioner Alexander, you're busy tonight, but I'm wondering if you'd entertain trying to answer this the best possible way you can.
Thank you very much, Mayor Carter, and thank you for the question. I'd like to pass this question to Beth Mullen, Director of Community and Environmental Services.
Thank you, Kevin, and thank you very much for the question. Staff are always looking for operational efficiencies. Implementing weekly garbage pickups during summer months would double related operational costs and reduce the efficiency of the waste transfer. Those operational costs would have significant impact on the annual operating budget. The current model maximizes the efficiency of the waste collections and aligns with our strategic goals related to environmental responsibility. Additional information related to waste collection services in the city is available online at oshawa.ca/waste.
Thank you very much for your expertise and also the response. We also are encouraging everyone to do their bit in regards to making sure that we fill our green bins, make sure we use our recycling, and make sure that we try and cut down as much waste as we possibly can. And that goes to our commitment in regards to the environment itself. So a great question. Thank you very much for that question. Eric, back to you.
Thank you to the the Oshawa Connect users who shared that question. Now, actually, Mayor Carter, could you please outline what is being done to ensure that Oshawa remains an affordable community?
Well, I'll be absolutely honest with you. This is probably the number one issue that is on people's minds about in regards to affordability and how to be able to make sure that that not only they're able to make their payments in regards to their shelter, but also making sure that they have groceries on the shelves and making sure that they're able to provide for their families. One of the roles that we play in government is to be able to make sure that we're fiscally responsible. I'm a fiscal conservative, and I'm lucky enough to be able to work with our Commissioner of Finance that is very similar in regards to her fiscal responsibility. We have always believed that we have to make sure that not only our organization is efficient, but also lean, but to a point that our leanness does not affect our service levels. But we continue to be able to do internal and external audits to find where we can be able to find savings and also best practices. We continue to understand that every decision that we make by providing services will impact those that are paying for those services. And we also are committed in regards to excellent services throughout our community. And that, of course, means that there is a cost to it. What I can say is that Oshawa has ranked 14th out of 30th when it comes to the average tax bills across the GTA municipalities. We are one of the lowest in Durham Region. Matter of fact, we are just the only other community is Brock. And we continue to be able to look at fiscally how do we make sure that we manage our debt, make sure that we provide capital investment, long-term infrastructure investment, make sure that the programs that I described earlier on, that we continue to provide, but we continue to be able to do an evaluation of our core services to make sure that we're achieving everything that our public expects at the very best possible way. So affordability will always be front and center under the strong mayor's powers. Of course, one of my roles and responsibility is to work with our finance staff to be able to bring forward a budget. I'll be doing that on November 1st to council, and then the public meeting, I believe, is November the 8th, that we are asking people for their feedback. I'm not sure if our commissioner wants to add anything on this, but I will go to our Commissioner of Financial Services and our Treasurer, Commissioner Sinek. Commissioner?
Thank you, Mayor Carter, for the question. I would like to highlight that the city does have a continuous improvement framework. Under that framework, there are 4 key components. The first one is doing lean reviews, also internal audit, risk management, and service reviews. So we apply that to find efficiencies within the organization, identify areas of waste. You spoke also of our very lean budget. We just did our year-end projection that will be coming to council on Monday, and it's projecting a year-end surplus of $1.2 million, which sounds like a lot of money, but just for context, 1% of the city's budget is actually $1.6 million, so we are coming in very, very close to our budget estimation for 2024 with less than 1% of a variance.
Commissioner, thank you very much for your response, and I just want to remind those that are listening also, I know that you receive your tax bill from the City of Oshawa, but that includes 45% that goes to the Region of Durham, 15% that goes to the school board. The city needs to operate all services and deliver the services to our residents for 40% of that tax bill. We are committed in regards to being fiscally responsible and to make sure that you get the best service at the lowest possible impact on your tax bill. Eric, I hope that we answer that question completely.
Thank you, Mayor Carter. And we're actually going to go to our next live question. It's Joe now, who's joining us for the question about parking enforcement. Joe, welcome.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for taking my call. I'm an avid cyclist for commuting, and my concern with parking is the amount of vehicles that are parked on the so-called bike routes. To me, it's just a painted white line along the streets. In my case, it's mainly Grandview, Roslyn to Taunton, or Green Hill, west of Harmony, down to Wilson, or as you're coming up Green Hill to Harmony. Thanks for taking my call.
Joe, great to be able to hear from you, and I know that you're an avid cyclist and do some great work in regards to the active transportation community all across the region of Durham. It is a concern not only in our community, but communities across Ontario in regards to dedicated bike lanes, not only educating drivers, but also making sure that those transportation pathways are clear. I'm going to go to our Director of Bylaws Services, Mr. Lyon. Mr. Lyon?
Good evening. Thank you for the call, Joe. And as I mentioned, municipal law enforcement is committed to enforcing and administering standards that address public health and safety. Cycling and parked vehicles can be conflict, so I do understand your concern. When you are out on your bicycle and you see parked vehicles that are violating any of the parking standards, please contact Service Oshawa. We will have an officer dispatched to take the appropriate measures. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. And Joe, as you know, the City of Oshawa has also invested, continued to work with the region in regards to in-boulevard multi-transportation pathways. That gives everybody an opportunity to be able to travel safely. But we greatly appreciate your feedback in regards to some of the challenges as we welcome new modes of transportation across our community. Eric, back to you.
Joe, thank you again for that question. Another Connect Oshawa question. This one comes in from user KSTHM, who wanted to know if there is a plan to widen Conlin Road, especially around Harmony, to accommodate the new traffic load. They had concerns with pedestrians walking in the area, especially in the winter.
Great question. I'm glad that it came up this evening. I'm going to pass it over to our Commissioner Amber, and you can redirect that question to your team, please.
Thank you, Mayor Carter, and thank you for the question. As was mentioned earlier through CAO Adams, we have many infrastructure needs throughout the city, but for detailed information on Conlin Road specifically, I'll pass it off to Director Greg Hardy.
Thank you, Commissioner Amber. The city is currently finalizing the design for the 4-laning of Conlin Road from Ritson Road North to Corello Drive. Construction is planned to be undertaken in phases from 2025 through 2029. It will include intersection improvements, enhanced street lighting, new water main services and sewers, sidewalks, and multi-use paths. In the meantime, in order to assist with safe pedestrian movement in the area, the development community installed sidewalks on the north side of Conlin Road in the vicinity of Harmony Road earlier this year. Additionally, a new intersection pedestrian signal is scheduled to be constructed this fall at the Vern Bowen Street intersection. Hope that helps answer the question.
Thank you very much for the question, and I know that this will be, again, this is a major investment by the city and will be a phased approach because of the impact that it'll have on the community, but we are always concerned in regards to public safety, and once again, highlighting that the sidewalk is on the north side of Conlin, and pedestrians infrastructure and improvements are being made as we speak. Eric, back to you, sir.
Up next, another live question, and it's Stephanie who's joining us now with a question about accessibility in the downtown. Stephanie, welcome.
Thank you. So my husband and I are both disabled, and with all the construction going on in downtown Oshawa, it has been completely inaccessible to anybody who has accessibility needs. The roads are now too narrow to navigate. You've taken away parking and made it green parking rather than disability parking, so it's very hard to find disability parking on the street. And I'd like to know what's going to be done to make this more accessible, because right now we have no access to downtown. I drive.
First of all, thank you very much for your call, Stephanie. So there's a couple things. The construction on the southern part of Simcoe Street is continuing. That was major water and sewer that was necessary, old infrastructure that it needed to be replaced. And I know it's been an inconvenience in regards to not only the shop owners, residents, and those that are traveling in the area. In the downtown core, there are accessible spots to my knowledge. Matter of fact, at King and Simcoe on the north side in front of Level Drugs, I believe there is accessible spots in that particular area. And I know that we continue to be able to do an evaluation of accessibility in our downtown core to make sure that we're able to meet the expectations and needs of those that have accessibility challenges. I believe that some of the storefronts also have zero lot lines and have taken the opportunity to put temporary ramps so that individuals are able to access those facilities for services. I know intersection improvements have always also been made, but I think that I've heard you loud and clear about your frustrations and challenges. I'm not really sure if Ms. McIsaac wanted to add anything to it. No? I hope I answered your question, but accessibility for all to make sure that they have access to our facilities and businesses is an important part. So thank you for your feedback, and I promise you that we will take that under consideration. Eric, back to you.
Stephanie, thank you again for your question. Now, Mayor Carter, we're actually just about reaching the end of the open house. We had a lot of good questions this evening. We have a couple minutes remaining. Is there anything else you wanted to share with listeners?
Eric, first and foremost, thank you very much for being our moderator tonight. It's great to be able to work with you, and I really do appreciate the participation by our community. The best way to make government better is to be a participant and to make sure that your voice is heard, because your voice does matter. So I greatly appreciate it. On behalf of Oshawa and City Council, I just want to take this opportunity to thank everyone for participating. It's been an exciting opportunity to talk with you, and you've asked some great questions and challenged us in many different areas for consideration, and of course, it continues to be able to help us make right decisions. I'd like to take this opportunity to remind listeners that the 2025 budget will be presented to Council and made available online for public review at 9:30 a.m. on Friday, November the 1st. Members of the public are welcome to watch the meeting in person at the Council chambers or online via web stream. Members of the public will also have the opportunity to make a delegation on the 2025 city budget in special council meeting the morning of Friday, November the 8th. For more information, please do me a favor. Always reach out to www.oshawa.ca. If it's in regards to the budget, the difference on the code is www.oshawa.ca/budget. I just want to take this opportunity to thank all of our callers, our residents, for participating. Again, thank you for making our city a great city of Oshawa. And Eric, it's back to you.
Thank you again to everyone for joining us this evening, Mayor Carter, and thank you to you and your staff for facilitating this. Have a great evening, everyone.